$180 million today, $750 million tomorrow. Can Sangster Airport handle Jamaica's tourism boom without disaster? In this video, we are going to look at Sangster Airport's multi-phase expansion from the current $180 million upgrades to the planned $750 million terminal. We'll examine why Jamaica is betting big on the future of tourism, the challenges the airport could face, and the opportunities this project presents. By following past growth patterns, current improvements, and long-term strategies, you'll get a complete picture of the high-stakes nature of this development. Watch to see why this gamble is both a visionary move and a potential risk, impacting Montego Bay's economy and Jamaica's global standing. Tourism in Jamaica is on an unprecedented rise. The beaches and resorts along the north coast, particularly in Montego Bay, are filled with travelers from around the globe. New hotels are sprouting up, more international flights are landing each week, and the region's economic engine is roaring. At the center of this boom sits Sangster International Airport, the critical gateway welcoming millions of visitors each year. According to recent reports, the airport authority has revealed plans for a $180 million infrastructure expansion running from 2026 through 2030. This investment is intended to meet the anticipated surge in passenger numbers. But the ambition doesn't end there. Plans are already in motion for a brand new terminal estimated at a staggering $750 million, enough to handle traffic deep into the 2030s. On paper, it's a story of growth and opportunity. Yet behind the figures lies an equally enormous risk. One wrong turn, economic slowdown, climate events, or shifts in travel habits, and this massive project could face serious challenges. So what makes this expansion both fascinating and potentially perilous? Let's dive deeper. Sangster International Airport, often simply called SIA, has long been the heartbeat of Montego Bay's tourism sector. Since it opened decades ago, it has served as the primary portal for visitors coming to Jamaica's famed resort zone. Over the years, it has expanded incrementally, responding to each wave of tourism growth. For example, around 2009, the airport underwent a major $180 million upgrade. Infrastructure improvements included expanded runways, modernized terminals, and enhanced passenger facilities. At the time, this investment mirrored the growing confidence in Jamaica's tourism industry and set a precedent for future expansions. Fast forward to today, and the $180 million figure we hear now is not just a random number. It's part of a clear, continuous strategy to scale Sangster's capacity in tandem with the surging demand. History tells us that each investment here has directly correlated with spikes in visitor arrivals, making the airport a cornerstone of Jamaica's economic growth. In July 2025, SIA CEO Shane Munro outlined a comprehensive $180 million investment roadmap covering 2026 through 2030. Unlike past upgrades, this plan is not just about adding gates or widening runways, it's a full-scale modernization. The upgrades include biometric boarding, smart kiosks, larger immigration halls, and an expanded concourse to ease congestion during peak travel periods. Already, some work has been implemented. In January 2023, the airport unveiled an upgraded departures area, offering more space for travelers, enhanced retail options, a refreshed duty-free experience, and modern interior designs aimed at making passenger flow smoother and more pleasant. Why now? The rationale is straightforward. Jamaica is in the midst of a hotel construction boom, adding thousands of new rooms along the northern coast. Forecasts suggest that visitor numbers will climb sharply over the next decade. Without substantial upgrades, Sangster risks becoming a bottleneck, frustrating tourists and potentially stalling the economic momentum the region has built. Yet this is where the tension begins. While the numbers are optimistic, tourism can be volatile. Hurricanes, global recessions, pandemics, or changes in traveler behavior could reduce arrivals overnight. And that raises a critical question. What happens if demand doesn't grow as predicted? This uncertainty is what makes this investment simultaneously exciting and risky. Montego Bay's growth is no accident. Tourism here is supported by a mix of natural allure, strong marketing, and improving infrastructure. Cruise lines, charter flights, and direct international routes have all multiplied in recent years. Additionally, Jamaica has aggressively promoted itself as a year-round destination, attracting travelers not just from North America and Europe, but increasingly from Asia and the Middle East. Airline partnerships are also pivotal. The expansion is designed to handle not just more passengers, but more flights from diverse carriers. With larger planes, new routes, and longer operating hours, the airport is positioning itself to become a hub, not just a stopover. But here's where the narrative thickens. Forecasting growth over decades in a volatile market is never straightforward. The airport is essentially betting that tourism will continue to rise without major interruptions, a bet that is simultaneously visionary and precarious. Beyond the immediate $180 million upgrades, the long-term vision for Sangster is even more ambitious. We're Reports from September 2025 indicate that a new terminal with a projected cost of $750 million is slated to support traffic projections through 2053. This terminal will not only expand capacity but modernize every aspect of passenger experience from check-in to boarding gates, retail spaces, and luggage handling. According to the airport authority, the current expansions will be sufficient only until around 2034. Beyond that point, the new terminal will be crucial to avoid congestion and delays. In other words, the $180 million upgrades are only the first step in a multi-stage strategy that could define Jamaica's airport capabilities for the next 30 years. Here lies the heart of the gamble. The airport is betting that Jamaica's tourism boom will endure. But what if it doesn't? Climate risks, such as hurricanes and sea level rise, are already a concern. Sangster was identified as one of the 20 most vulnerable airports globally to rising seas. Combine that with the unpredictable nature of global economies and the risk profile increases significantly. If a major storm hits or a global downturn reduces travel, the $180 million and eventually $750 million could appear less like strategic investment and more like financial overreach. Yet, if everything goes according to plan, the upside is immense. A world-class airport could attract more airlines, more flights, and more visitors, boosting hotels, resorts, and local businesses. Montego Bay could cement itself as a Caribbean tourism powerhouse, outpacing competitors in the Dominican Republic, Mexico, or the Bahamas. The potential economic and social benefits are enormous, but only if the demand projections hold true. This is more than an airport. It's a statement about Jamaica's aspirations. By committing hundreds of millions upfront, the government and airport authority are signaling confidence in the country's long-term position as a premier travel destination. Consider the broader context. Many Caribbean nations are competing for the same tourist dollars, investing in resorts, airports, and marketing campaigns. For Jamaica, Sangster International is not just infrastructure, it's a strategic asset. Every delay, every bottleneck, and every dissatisfied traveler could push tourists toward competitors. This makes the stakes even higher. The airport expansion is not merely about convenience or comfort. It's about market share, on the perception of Jamaica globally, and on sustaining a multi-decade tourism boom. Naturally, the financial scale of this project has sparked debate. $180 million is a considerable sum, but when paired with the planned $750 million terminal, the total investment approaches $1 billion. For a country like Jamaica, this is a bold fiscal maneuver. Critics argue that if forecasts are overly optimistic, the country risks overbuilding and carrying significant debt. Supporters counter that the expansion is necessary to avoid congestion, improve efficiency, and secure Jamaica's competitive edge in tourism. Public discourse has centered on timing, cost, and climate risk. How do you balance the urgency of infrastructure upgrades with the uncertainty of future visitor flows? It's a delicate tightrope and one that Jamaica is walking with both ambition and caution. As we look forward, the scale of Sangster International Airport's expansion becomes even more striking. The $180 million upgrades are just the tip of the iceberg. The $750 million terminal, designed to accommodate traffic through the 2050s, is a bold statement of faith in Jamaica's tourism trajectory. Yet this optimism comes with inherent uncertainty. Climate change is not a distant threat. It is already reshaping Caribbean travel. Hurricanes are becoming more intense, storm surges more destructive, and sea level rise threatens coastal infrastructure. Sangster, like many other Caribbean airports, is directly exposed to these risks. Beyond climate, economic volatility could dramatically shift travel patterns. A global slowdown, rising fuel costs, or even geopolitical instability in key tourist markets could reduce visitor numbers. And let's not forget the evolving behavior of travelers themselves. Post-pandemic, many tourists prefer flexible bookings, shorter trips, or alternative destinations. Will Montego Bay remain top of mind in a highly competitive market? The airport's expansion assumes yes, but reality may not follow projections. Conversely, if Jamaica's tourism trajectory remains on course, Sangster International could emerge as a transformative force. Imagine a world-class terminal, equipped with the latest biometric systems, smart kiosks, and spacious concourses designed to manage peak season surges seamlessly. International airlines could establish new routes, including direct flights from Asia and the Middle East. Hotels and resorts lining the North Coast would benefit from smoother passenger flows, attracting even more visitors. Local businesses, from transportation services to retail shops, would experience a surge in revenue. Employment opportunities, both within the airport and across the tourism ecosystem, could expand significantly, creating a multiplier effect on Jamaica's economy. Montego Bay could then position itself not merely as a regional destination, but as a global Caribbean hub, competing with destinations like Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic or Cancun in Mexico. The ripple effect could extend beyond tourism. bolstering infrastructure, improving public services, and raising Jamaica's international profile. The financial dynamics of this expansion are equally complex. The initial $180 million is significant but manageable for the airport authority, especially if financed strategically. However, the full $750 million terminal represents a massive capital outlay. Jamaica's ability to fund this project without over-leveraging is critical. Supporters argue that failing to expand now could be far costlier. An overwhelmed airport would frustrate travelers, create bottlenecks, and ultimately harm the country's reputation as a premier tourist destination. Every delayed flight or congested terminal could redirect tourists to competitors. In this sense, spending today may prevent far greater losses tomorrow. Critics remain cautious. Economic shocks, natural disasters, or shifts in travel trends could render part of the investment underutilized. A billion-dollar infrastructure could end up partially stranded, sitting largely empty if forecasts do not materialize. This is the tension that makes the Sangster expansion both thrilling and nerve-wracking. Sangster International's expansion is not just a local issue, it's a regional game-changer. Caribbean destinations are locked in fierce competition for international tourists. Each country vies for airline attention, visitor dollars, and resort investment. Jamaica, by committing to these upgrades, is staking its claim for long-term leadership. A modernized Sangster Airport positions the country to attract new airline partnerships, premium flights, and more international connectivity. By contrast, countries that delay upgrades risk losing market share to destinations that can offer superior passenger experiences. But this is also a high-stakes bet. Infrastructure alone does not guarantee tourism growth. Marketing, hotel quality, safety, political stability, and climate resilience all play critical roles. Sangster's expansion is therefore a linchpin in a broader national strategy, but not a standalone solution. Beyond economics and strategy, there's a human story woven into this expansion. Thousands of local workers, from construction crews to airport staff, will see employment opportunities grow. Tourism-related businesses will experience increased demand, supporting livelihoods across Montego Bay and beyond. At the same time, local communities may face disruptions. Construction zones, new traffic patterns, and changing airport dynamics will impact daily life. Balancing growth with community needs will be essential for sustainable development. In other words, the expansion is not just about infrastructure, it's about people, opportunity, and how Jamaica envisions its future. Part of the $180 million investment focuses on modernization and technological upgrades. Biometric boarding systems, advanced kiosks, and improved immigration halls are designed to make passenger experiences smoother and faster. These changes are not just conveniences, they are strategic moves to make Montego Bay competitive with airports worldwide. Travelers increasingly expect efficiency, reliability, and comfort. Sangster's investments aim to deliver all three, positioning it as a technologically advanced gateway to the Caribbean. Yet technology alone cannot secure success. It must be coupled with skilled staff, resilient infrastructure, and contingency planning for everything from storms to unexpected surges in passenger numbers. The integration of technology into airport operations is therefore both an opportunity and a challenge. Here's the twist many may overlook. Sangster International's expansion is not just an airport project, it is a calculated bet on Jamaica's entire tourism ecosystem. Every dollar invested is a wager that the world will continue to desire Montego Bay as a destination. If the gamble pays off, the rewards are transformative. A world-class airport, expanded connectivity, job creation, and a strengthened position in the competitive Caribbean tourism market. Montego Bay could leap ahead of rival destinations, drawing more international attention and investment. But if the gamble fails, if visitor growth stagnates, economic shocks hit, or climate events disrupt operations, Jamaica could be left with oversized, underutilized infrastructure and a heavy debt load. What sounds like a straightforward airport upgrade is, in reality, a multi-$100 million wager on the global appeal of a single Caribbean city spanning decades into the future. It's a classic high-risk, high-reward scenario. The airport's success will depend on a delicate balance of economic stability, tourist demand, climate resilience, and effective management. One misstep in any of these areas could shift the outcome from triumph to cautionary tale. Jamaica's investment in Sangster International Airport is a bold, long-term strategy. The $180 million upgrades, coupled with the planned $750 million terminal, are designed to secure Montego Bay's position as a leading Caribbean tourism hub. The potential payoff is massive, but the stakes are equally high. This project illustrates how infrastructure is not merely about buildings, it's about shaping the economic and social future of an entire region. If you found this breakdown insightful, please hit like, share this video, and subscribe for more deep dives into major infrastructure projects shaping the world. We want to hear from you. Do you think Jamaica's tourism boom can sustain itself through the 2030s, or is this airport expansion too risky for the country's future? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's discuss whether this gamble will soar or stumble.